Talk about something real tonight. Something that so many women wonder, worry about, and quite frankly, waste too much time decoding. You've met someone. He's charming, he's attentive, and the chemistry is undeniable. But there's this nagging question: does he actually care about me? Or does he just want to sleep with me? When a man is primarily interested in sleeping with you, one of the first signs is the way he gives compliments instead of expressing a genuine desire to get to know you. Your thoughts, your values, your personality. He tends to focus on surface-level flattery. These compliments are usually vague and generic. He might say things like, "You're so sexy," "You're different from other women," or "There's just something about you." Now, on the surface, these words can sound flattering. They feel exciting, even intoxicating, especially when there's attraction involved. But if you look closely, there's no depth to them. He's not showing any interest in your life, your passions, or what makes you uniquely you. He's not asking follow-up questions when you share something personal. Instead, his focus is on creating an emotional high, one that brings your walls down just enough for him to get what he wants. This kind of vague complimenting isn't about connection. It's about seduction. It's the kind of language designed to make you feel special in the moment without having to invest in who you are as a person. A man who truly wants to build something with you will compliment you in a way that shows he's been paying attention. He'll notice how you handle challenges, how you speak with passion about things that matter to you, how your presence changes the energy in a room. He won't just say, "You're beautiful." He'll say, "I love how your face lights up when you talk about that idea you're working on." There's a level of detail that reveals his genuine interest. On the other hand, the man who's only after something short-term will often recycle the same lines he's used before, because the goal isn't connection, it's compliance. He wants you to feel flattered, to feel validated, and ultimately to feel comfortable enough to give him physical access. And to achieve that, he doesn't need to know you, he just needs to convince you that he sees you. That's why these vague compliments are so effective and so dangerous. They bypass logic and go straight to emotion. They're seductive not because they're meaningful, but because they're emotionally charged. This is where awareness becomes power. When you hear a compliment, ask yourself, is this person complimenting something specific about me? Something they've taken the time to notice? Or are they simply using generic praise to keep the energy flirty and superficial? A real connection is built on being seen, not just being admired. And vague compliments are often the first sign that someone is trying to speed up intimacy without doing the real work of understanding who you are. When a man's words sound sweet, but don't lead to deeper curiosity or intentional follow-up, that's a red flag. It means he's offering you attraction without intention, attention without investment, and admiration without meaning. When a man is mainly interested in sleeping with you, one of the things he will often do is rush emotional intimacy without actually putting in the time or effort to build trust. At first, this can feel incredibly flattering. He might open up quickly about personal things, share emotional stories, or say that he's never felt this way before, not just to impress you, but to fast-track the emotional connection. He's not investing in building a real foundation. He's performing what looks like closeness so he can get to the physical side faster. This kind of fast forwarding can create the illusion that you're bonding, that there's something rare and special between you, when in reality it's being used as a tool to lower your guard. He may say things like, "I feel like I've known you forever," or "You just get me," within the first few conversations. These statements can feel intoxicating. especially if you're also craving connection or have been starved of emotional depth in previous relationships. But the key thing to notice is whether this emotional sharing is one-sided or whether it leads to any meaningful action. Does he ask you deep questions? Then truly listen and remember what you say. Does he take your emotional responses seriously, or does he quickly pivot the conversation back to how amazing your connection feels? Fast emotional intimacy without genuine listening is usually not a sign of emotional maturity. It's often a strategy to create a shortcut to physical closeness. He might also introduce big emotional declarations far too early, like talking about your future together, suggesting you move in together soon, or even using terms of endearment like babe or my girl, before there's any real bond in place. These are emotional signals meant to simulate a relationship rather than actually build one. A man who wants a real connection will take his time. He knows trust is earned through consistency, and he's willing to show up again and again. He doesn't need to fast track intimacy because he's not trying to extract something from you. He's trying to grow something with you. You may notice that in between these deep emotional declarations, there's very little actual effort. He doesn't ask how your day was. He doesn't make plans. He doesn't show consistency in his actions. That's because the emotional intensity he's projecting isn't rooted in real investment. It's a tactic to get you emotionally invested enough to cross physical boundaries. Once that happens, you may find that the attention fades, the emotional openness disappears, and you're left wondering if any of it was real in the first place. When emotional closeness is genuine, it's matched with respect, curiosity, and steady action over time. But when it's rushed, when it feels like it's moving too fast to be real, it's usually because it's being used as a strategy, not a reflection of true emotional commitment. When a man is only interested in sleeping with you, one of the most revealing signs is that he avoids making future plans and keeps the focus entirely on the present. In the early stages, this might seem spontaneous, exciting, and even romantic. He'll invite you out at the last minute, say things like, "Let's just see where things go," or "I love how easy and chill this is between us." But if you take a closer look, you'll notice a pattern. He rarely, if ever, includes you in anything that involves planning beyond the next day or the next evening. There's no talk of next week, no curiosity about your long-term goals, and no effort to slowly weave you into the fabric of his life. Instead, the entire relationship remains in the now, which conveniently allows him to enjoy your company without ever building anything real. A man with genuine intentions will naturally think ahead. He'll want to make plans with you in advance, not just for logistics, but because he's thinking about you beyond the present moment. He'll consider your availability, make time for things that matter to you, and talk about ideas for the future, even in small ways. It doesn't have to be dramatic. He doesn't need to talk about marriage or kids right away, but he will express interest in what your next month looks like, whether you'd like to attend an event together, or even just where you'd like to go for dinner next weekend. These small efforts show that he's not just focused on short-term gratification, but on building a lasting connection. On the other hand, when a man avoids these types of conversations, when he dodges anything that involves the future, it's often because he doesn't plan to be around for it. His goal is to keep things light, fun, and emotionally non-committal so he can maintain control over the dynamic. He wants the benefits of closeness without the responsibility of commitment. He may even say he doesn't believe in labels or that relationships ruin things, as a way to make sure things never get too serious. This kind of mindset isn't about protecting you or being respectful. It's about preserving his own freedom while still getting what he wants. You'll also notice that when you try to talk about the future or bring up any kind of expectations, the energy shifts. He may withdraw, change the subject, or tell you you're overthinking. These are signs that he's not invested in building a real relationship. He's invested in keeping things exactly where they are because that suits his intentions. Staying in the present allows him to enjoy intimacy without accountability. It also keeps you from gaining clarity, since you're constantly reacting to what's happening now instead of being able to assess whether this relationship has a real direction. Without forward movement, the relationship ends up feeling like a loop. Passionate moments, followed by silence, followed by more passion, but never any real progression when a man's primary interest is to sleep with you rather than build a real connection. One of his most common tactics is using flattery not as a genuine expression, but as a tool. At first, this can be incredibly confusing because the compliments come fast, often wrapped in charm and intensity. He might constantly tell you how beautiful you are, how amazing your body is, how he's never met someone like you. While those words can feel wonderful in the moment, they often lack any depth or alignment with meaningful action. The praise is not rooted in who you are as a person. It's rooted in creating an emotional response, one that disarms you and brings down your defenses. And when a compliment is used as a weapon of seduction rather than a reflection of real interest, it loses its value. Even if it sounds sweet, you'll notice that these compliments are often exaggerated, repeated, and given very early on. He may call you perfect, say you're everything he's ever wanted, or insist he's so lucky to have found you, all within a very short time of knowing you. While it might seem like he's just expressive or emotionally open, what's actually happening is he's using language to build trust rapidly, bypassing the normal pace at which emotional intimacy naturally forms. Flattery becomes a shortcut to closeness, and for someone who wants to move the relationship into the physical realm quickly, this is one of the easiest ways to create false intimacy. But what's missing is substance. He's not asking about your goals, your values, your history. He's not genuinely engaging with your mind or listening carefully when you speak. Instead, he showers you with praise as a form of distraction. The more flattered you feel, the less likely you are to pause and ask the deeper questions about what he really wants, or whether your emotional needs are being met. This is how flattery becomes manipulation, not because it's inherently bad to compliment someone, but because it's being used strategically to influence your behavior. Another red flag is when compliments are mostly about your appearance or how you make him feel, rather than about your character or your actions. You're so hot, you drive me crazy, or I can't stop thinking about you, are phrases that focus on desire, not respect. There's nothing wrong with attraction, it's a beautiful part of any relationship. But when a man is genuinely interested in you, his compliments will evolve. He will admire how you treat others, how you carry yourself, how you respond to challenges. He'll point out specific things that show he's truly observing you, not just reacting to your looks or the way you make him feel in the moment. Pay attention to whether the flattery ever leads anywhere deeper. Does it come with actions that show care, consistency, and presence, or does it stay in the realm of seductive language without follow-through? When flattery is used to gain access to your body rather than to honor your presence, it becomes clear that the focus is not on building a relationship, but on getting a result that benefits him more than it nurtures you. When a man is only interested in sleeping with you, he often mirrors your values not because he genuinely shares them, but because he knows that doing so earns your approval. This kind of mirroring is subtle and calculated. It creates the illusion of compatibility, making you believe you've found someone who truly gets you. You might mention something meaningful to you, like your views on relationships, your ambitions, or even your spiritual beliefs, and he'll immediately echo those sentiments, not out of authentic alignment, but as a way to deepen trust and lower your emotional boundaries. It's not about connection. It's about strategy. He listens closely in the beginning, not always because he cares, but because he's gathering information. If you say you're not the type to have casual flings, he'll assure you he's looking for something real. If you say you value emotional depth, he'll start sharing emotionally charged stories to show you he's in touch with his feelings. If you mention you've been hurt in the past, he'll assure you he's not like other guys. It all sounds ideal at first, almost too good to be true, and often it is. Because mirroring, when used manipulatively, is about adapting to fit your mold temporarily, just long enough to get what he wants. One way to recognize this is by paying attention to consistency. In the early stages, he may seem perfectly aligned with everything you say, but as time goes on, his actions don't match his words. He might claim to value commitment, yet avoid having any real conversations about exclusivity. He might say he respects your emotional boundaries, yet continue to push for physical intimacy before there's a solid foundation. The truth comes out not just in what he says, but in how he behaves when things don't go his way. If you begin to question his intentions or set limits, a man who's only mirroring to win you over may become distant, defensive, or dismissive. That's because the performance begins to crack once the goal isn't easily achieved. Genuine compatibility takes time to reveal itself. A man who truly shares your values will demonstrate them over time, not just echo them in the moment. He'll be willing to engage in difficult conversations, show up consistently, and respect your pace even when it doesn't immediately benefit him. He won't just say the right things, he'll live them. But when someone is only repeating your values to gain favor, there's no substance behind the words. It feels like connection on the surface, but it collapses under pressure because it was never built on truth. This kind of manipulation can be hard to detect because it plays directly into your hopes. You want to believe that someone sees you, understands you, and wants the same things you do. But when a man mirrors your values too quickly, without ever showing real curiosity about them or asking deeper questions about what they mean to you, it's often a sign that he's performing compatibility rather than actually embodying it. When a man is primarily interested in sleeping with you, he often uses subtle forms of pressure that are disguised as romance, passion, or fate. One of the most deceptive tactics is framing his desire as something bigger than both of you. Chemistry, destiny, or a once-in-a-lifetime connection. He'll say things like, "We have such insane chemistry," or "What we have is rare, let's not overthink it," or "I've never felt this way before." These phrases are designed to bypass your logical mind and get you to surrender to the moment. They sound exciting and emotionally charged, but their real purpose is to create urgency, so you feel like resisting would be ruining something magical. This form of pressure is subtle because it doesn't sound like pressure. It sounds like intimacy. It sounds like someone being emotionally expressive and open, which is why it's easy to misinterpret it as genuine vulnerability. But the test is whether this supposed emotional connection comes with patience and respect, or whether it comes with a push toward physical closeness. When a man truly values you, he doesn't rush the process, no matter how intense the feelings may be. But when a man uses intensity to accelerate physical intimacy, he's not building something real. He's manufacturing urgency to get what he wants faster. You'll notice that these moments of fate or chemistry often come at very strategic times when you're hesitating, when you've expressed boundaries, or when he feels like you need a little more emotional reassurance before taking things to the next level. Instead of backing off and honoring your pace, he leans in harder with charm and emotional language. It's a form of emotional seduction that doesn't necessarily involve pressure in direct sense, but in a way that makes you feel like saying no would be denying something bigger than yourself. It plays on your romantic hopes and desires, tapping into that part of you that wants a love story to unfold. He may also bring in ideas of timing, saying things like, "I don't want to wait and miss this," or "We don't know what the future holds, so let's just live in the moment." These statements are framed as courageous and spontaneous, but they often serve one purpose: to avoid accountability and skip over the important process of truly getting to know each other. They encourage emotional surrender while removing the need for commitment or clarity. And when you resist, he might even make you feel guilty or accuse you of being too guarded or too scared to open up. A man with honest intentions doesn't need to rely on urgency or destiny. He's willing to move at your pace and build trust one step at a time. He doesn't frame intimacy as a now or never decision. He understands that true chemistry doesn't need to be forced, and that connection isn't proven through how quickly you get close, but how deeply you stay connected over time.